I want to show you how politicians have responded to the event. Some of them had a more measured take, others went full on warmonger. Let's start off with actually Jeremy Corbyn from the UK. So he says the unfolding events in Israel and Palestine are deeply alarming. We need an immediate ceasefire and urgent de-escalation. And we need a route out of this tragic cycle of violence. Ending the occupation is the only means of achieving a just and lasting peace. Cornel West also came out with something similar. So these were the two, I would say, that had a more measured reaction to the events that happened. I would say I agree with Jeremy Corbyn and Cornel West the most on this. Cornel says, he says, the escalation of the barbaric violence in the Middle East must stop. The vicious Israeli occupation and the ugly Palestinian retaliation results in the killing of precious innocent people on both sides. We must have a lasting peace based on justice. So I do agree with Cornel West, who, by the way, announced that he is running as an independent. He left the Green Party. He has gone independent. Speaking of someone who has ditched out and has become independent, who's ditched the Democrats and has become independent, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., let me show you what he had to say. This was his tweet. He said, the ignominious, I don't even know that word, this unprovoked and barbaric attack on Israel must be met with world condemnation and unequivocal support for the Jewish state's right to self-defense. We must provide Israel with whatever it needs to defend itself now. As president, I'll make sure that our policy is unambiguous so that the enemies of Israel will think long and hard before attempting aggression of any kind. I applaud the strong statements of support from the Biden White House for Israel in her hour of need. However, the scale of these attacks means it is likely that Israel will need to wage a sustained military campaign. Whoops, there goes my background. To protect the citizens. Statements of support are fine, but we must follow through with unwavering, resolute, and practical action. America must stand by our ally through this operation and beyond as it exercises its sovereign right to self-defense. Pretty damn warmongery, I'm not going to lie. Him just saying that we need to provide them with whatever necessary. I mean, here you've got a guy that has been very measured when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia war, saying, yes, it's really terrible what's happening to the Ukrainians. We have a humanitarian spirit towards them. We, of course, have good, reasons for wanting to help them. But the reality is we're just escalating into a larger conflict. But when it comes to Israel, suddenly he's like, give them whatever they need. And we need to support a sustained military operation, which we all know what a sustained military operation from Israel towards the Palestinians look like. And that looks like carpet bombing and the massacre of thousands of people. For every one person that the Palestinians, for every one Israeli that the Palestinians kill, the Israelis kill 10 to 20 times the number of Palestinians. It is not equal. It's not even. It's very lopsided. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr., of all the candidates, here he is. I thought he would have a more measured response similar to Jeremy Corbyn or Cornel West. Maybe a bit more, from what we've seen him being very pro-Israel, maybe a bit more standing with Israel, but not full-on warmonger, basically saying, yeah, let's give them whatever they need. We need to stand for endless military campaign. We already give Israel endless military aid. That has never ended. So he's now advocating for more for Israel. Here's Nikki Haley. We got to show this warmonger, Nimarata here. She is a massive, massive warmonger at levels we haven't. I don't even know who she compares to. She's like worse than John Bolton. She says this is not just an attack on Israel. This was an attack on America. Don't know how she gets to that conclusion. Israel is a different country. But she says this was an attack on America. Finish them, Netanyahu. What kind of a warmonger? This woman, finish them, Netanyahu. They should have hell to pay for what they have just done. So she's wanting them to finish the Palestinians. I'm not 100% certain who she wants to finish, but she's all about that. Let's go to Jim Jordan. I was surprised by this one as well. This is another person that he has been very much anti-war or seemingly anti-war. He's been very much supporting, a peaceful resolution between Russia and Ukraine. Instead, he went full on war, Says rockets are raining down on Israeli towns right now. We need to immediately help replenish Israel's stockpile of Iron Dome missiles to protect more innocent civilians from getting killed. Let's make sure Congress can unite and assure Israel has what it needs to destroy Hamas. So Jim Jordan has been like, let's not give any more American aid to Ukraine. But here he is saying, make sure Congress gives Israel whatever they need. So that was, he is running for Speaker of the House. And he has definitely flipped his tune. In fact, he sounds a lot like Adam Schiff. So, when you're, both sides saying the same thing. Here's Adam Schiff and Jim Jordan. Adam Schiff saying something very, very similar to Jim Jordan. He says, Israel is experiencing its own 9/11. There's no both sides to this attack. Hamas is a terrorist group, mass murdering hundreds of innocent Israelis and taking women and children hostage. The U.S. must stand ready to provide Israel with the support it needs to defend itself, including humanitarian aid and funding for the Iron Dome. I'll give it to Adam Schiff. He's at least consistent. He wants to give endless aid to Ukraine and he wants to give endless aid to Israel. So he's all about war, no matter where that war is. So I appreciate consistency in arguments. I appreciate consistent thought. I don't agree with his consistent thought, but I will say at least he's consistent, unlike people that are flip-flopping on the issues. Tulsi Gabbard, this is what she had to say. This was kind of expected, disappointing. She's very, when it comes to Islam, jihadists, she's very much like go after the terrorists and they're the number one threat and we've got to bomb them. I mean, she appeared on Tucker Carlson's show at one point when he was asking her about the war in Afghanistan and ending it. And she kind of went on this whole thing of, I just got back from Africa and we have to, and we're fighting the jihadists and we have to fight the jihadists because that's America's number one threat. And it was actually kind of, you could tell, shocking to Tucker, shocking to many of us watching. We expected her to be anti-war. She wasn't, and she's not. She says the United States must stand with Israel in the face of this terror attack by the Islamist terrorist group Hamas. This is just the latest example of the greater war being waged by both Sunni and Shia Islamist jihadists throughout the world. This should be a wake-up call to leaders everywhere that Islamist jihadists are the greatest short and long-term threat to the safety, security, and freedom of the American people and people throughout the world. Okay. We've got also Trump. What did he have to say? Trump is also warmongering. It turns out there's very few political leaders who aren't. But he goes on to say the terror invasion of Israeli territory and the murder of Israeli soldiers and citizens is an act of savagery that must be and will be crushed and avenged, he says. So there are your choices for president. The choices are warmonger or warmonger. Take your warmonger pick. And if we stick with Joe Biden, we've got war potentially against Russia. If we go with a conservative, we're going to potentially have war with Iran. Although Iran is where a lot of them have been pointing the finger. We're hearing this all the time. Like if Joe Biden didn't give the $6 billion to Iran, then this wouldn't have happened. Even though the $6 billion is still sitting in an account, Iran hasn't touched it. But nonetheless, there's a lot of blame on Biden and Iran. But this is where things get weird. And I think everybody should pay attention to this one. This is reports that Syria, we might end up going into more of a war, a wider war with Syria, and Israel might be doing a wider war with Syria. And that makes sense if you understand that Israel has also, for example, gone and annexed the Golan Heights and would like to gain more of Syria's land. That is also part of the prophecy that the land that is, a lot of it is Syria, if not all of it, would belong to the descendants of Abraham. So if you follow along that line of thinking, then it makes sense that they would suddenly, sort of like how we went after Iraq after 9/11, even though it was a bunch of Saudis who did 9/11, but we were like, oh, Iraq, invade Iraq, because there really was a different alternative motive there. So here's the reports coming out saying that Israeli authorities claim Joe Biden will use the U.S. military to join a wider war for Israel against Syria now that he has sent the U.S. Navy against Hamas ahead of any possible conflict with China over Taiwan and its continuing war on Russia through Ukraine. So the Israel radar says Israeli warning to Hezbollah: IDF will destroy Damascus, target Syrian President Assad if Hezbollah joins the war, which Hezbollah is in Lebanon, saying U.S. warships will support Israel in war. So this is frightening, the fact that they're pointing at Syria, which they've been salivating over Syria for a long time, both Israel and the United States. And they're saying that if Hezbollah, which is in Lebanon, attacks Israel, they're going to go after Syria and they're going to destroy Damascus and target Syria and Bashar al-Assad. That doesn't make any sense to me, but neither did the Iraq invasion. When you actually start to go and connect the dots, it's like, what did the Iraqis have to do with 9/11? Same sort of thing going on here. So keep your eyes wide open. We might end up in a war with Syria, major escalations in Syria. That could be where Israel decides to point and aim in hopes, what is the end goal there? I think everybody should be asking some questions when things don't add up. And that one certainly doesn't really add up. But these are our choices, in the political system. It is always the same: war, war, or more war, just depending on which war. Or would you like all the wars? It depends. If you go with Nikki, you're going to get all the wars. She wants to go after China. She wants to go after Russia. She wants to go after Syria, Iran, Palestinians, you name them. Nimarata's all about it. You could go with, a lighter version of that, where maybe somebody just wants war with Iran, and maybe they don't really want war with Russia or China. You could get the one that just wants Russia, just wants China, or just wants Russia. I don't know. Take your pick, but you're going to get a war. If you're an American, you're going to get a war. Let me tell you about Lean. This is a really great product. This is really going to help you get your pre-pandemic body back. So if you are struggling with getting rid of those pounds, then Lean can really help you. What's great about this product from Brickhouse Nutrition is that it has like the three most important things you need in order to lose weight. The first thing is appetite control. It's really difficult to stay on a diet if you're starving all the time. So Lean really helps curb that appetite. It also really helps you with burning fat that's already on your body. So you want to use that for energy. A lot of times, if you're not eating as much, you might feel like, I don't have any energy. Well, Lean helps you get that energy by burning fat on your body. And the last thing it does is that it really helps you lower your blood sugar. So this also will help you with burning fat, curbing your appetite, and also lowering your blood sugar, which is really important, because that when you have high blood sugar levels and you're like insulin resistant, which many Americans are, everything sticks to your body, and also cravings are there and whatnot. So Lean is really going to help you out. So let me get you started with Lean. You get 15% off your first order when you visit takelean.com and use the promo code KIM15. And that link is down below. So again, go to takelean.com and use that promo code KIM15, and you will get 15% off your order of trying to get your pre-pandemic body back. Good luck to you on that. I know I'm going to need it as well, but I take Lean and it's helping. So I like it. Try it. Try it with me.